This powerhouse behind me is our Citroen C1. Over the last few weeks we've been transforming it into a race car. We've been on a right mission to get this ready. From a standard road car in the first episode, we stripped it to its bare shell, removing the interior to facilitate the safety equipment. Once that was all out the way, we then removed the axles with the engine to give it all a revamp. Then in the second episode, we managed to get the car rolling again after fitting all new parts underneath, making it look fresh out the box again, whilst also fitting the engine to the car. All of this work is for one of the last races of the season at Silverstone for the C1 Cup race, one of the cheapest cup racing events in the UK. That is, if it's ready. Home to the British Grand Prix. One of the most famous race tracks in the world is where we are heading to take on a 3-hour endurance race. If you don't know already, the C1 Racing Club hosts events across the UK for motorsport enthusiasts, including a range of 3 and 24-hour endurances. And by the end of this video, we will be heading to that famous track. In the last video, we did get most of the interior done with a roll cage, the dashboard and whatnot. Me and Lee managed to put some decent hours getting the cage welded and bolted up, which was probably the biggest job. Then we could tackle the dashboard and a few other bits like the fire extinguisher, door cards and safety switches. Only thing left now is the seat, steering wheel and a few other little jobs. And then we can finally test this beast out at Teeside, just down the road, get a feel for it, make sure nothing's going to fall apart before we go to Silverstone. So, enough talking, let's get started. Whilst I went and picked the bumpers up, Lee managed to get the new shock absorbers on, which really has completed the suspension finally. And the bumpers are looking quality thanks to Jump High Motors at Tyndale and Bishop Auckland. First thing I want to do is get the bumper on. There's a couple of clips to go up the top, a couple on the side, get the number plate lights in and then put these out the way. Nice cable tied up somewhere on the back. Yeah, let's go. I think I'm going to chuck a couple of bulbs in just to make sure. Once I wired up the lights, the bumper can be fitted back on the car. It clips on either side of the back quarter panels, then it has a few bolts and clips on each side. When that's all fastened up, I have the toe straps to cable tie up out the way so they aren't dragging on the floor. I've drilled a couple of holes on the bumper to get them out the way nice and neatly. And that's the rear bumper all complete. Now to start fitting the huge 3.5-inch stainless exhaust pipe. Sadly, I'm just kidding, it's got to be standard. Absolute powerhouse exhaust. High performance machine. Oh, it's going to make some sound with this bad boy. Is it not? Oh. When the back box is on the rubbers, the pea shooter centre pipe can be attached with 2 bolts holding it to the cat. FT! And then the lambda sensor to refit. This is how we do it. Last thing is the rear clamp, which has 2 bolts. Remember, I did say these cars are really easy to work on, as you can see. Woo! Time for the underguards. I've got the fuel tank guard to go on there, the big one, and then this one is the brake pipe guard. Hopefully stop my brake pipes bursting when I come off the track. Man. This little guard comes with self-tapper bolts which come from the kit from the C1 store. They simply drill into the chassis and subframe. Next job is the new radiator. As you can see, ours looks a little tired. It does still hold water, but we are going to be putting this car through its paces and we don't want it to fail, so it's time for a new one. Thanks again to D.WARD Automotive. If you don't know by now, they've sponsored us to do this race, supplying us with everything from the clutch to the wheel bearings. If you're in the Bishop Auckland area and need any automotive parts or paint, hit them up. The link to their site will be below. And the last shout out is to my brother's band, the CarProject, which is who you're listening to now and having all previous episodes. You can find their tunes on all music platforms online and the links will be below. I will need music for upcoming videos in the future, so if you are an unsigned band and have an album or a few tunes you like to use, don't be afraid to hit me up. And just like that, the radiator is on. Now to get that freshly painted bumper on without scratching it. Same as the rear bumper, it clips to both sides, then has a few bolts on the top and bottom. Not forgetting to cable tie those toe straps up neatly. And that's both bumpers done, looking absolutely fresh. Last thing I want to do while it's on around is just put this little bracket on for the lap timer, which goes on the wheel arch with 2 bolts. So yeah, let's get on. You can pick these up fairly cheap. I got mine from Murray Motorsport online. It comes with the charger and the plate to bolt it to the car. If you're doing cup racing, then you'll definitely need one. It tracks your time throughout the race. Ideally, you'll want to bolt it near the front wheel arch. Alright, so it's the next morning. We stopped back late last night, got a few bits done. Got the bumpers on, the exhaust, the brake pipe underguard, front bumper, radiator. All we've got left to do this morning is put the seat in, harness, steering wheel, and then yeah, give it a good wash. And then we've got Teeside this afternoon, so I'll best get a move on. I've just decided I'm going to put these on. These are the underguards that go in the wheel arch. So I'm going to chuck them in just so it keeps it nice and fresh and we don't get any debris flicking around all over. And it's a bit more aerodynamic. Yeah. These plastic guards are just held on with pushing clips and a few bolts at the front to go on the bumper. Both front runs are fastened up there. There isn't any on the rear, so I can get the wheels on and set about finishing this interior. Right, so we're missing a seat. We're going to get the plate on, then the rails, and then seat can go in, harness, steering wheel, bosh. These pegs to the harness I've already put in. They just have a plate on the bottom and then a screw-in hook. Just screws in. I'll put 2 in there, 1 in the original seatbelt anchor and then 1 on the side here. And then the 2 for the back because we have a 6-point harness. They're just strapped to the back of the cage. Yeah, so first up, get the plate in. Right, that's all in. I can get the rails on now. So the base plate I managed to get from Demon Twigs. It's an SW Motorsport one, which is a straight fit to the bolt holes on the original seat anchors. The seat rails I had lying around off an old TrackCar, but you can get them from Demon Twigs or eBay too. Frame's all in, now we can put the seat in. Okay, let's go. This Cobra seat is also off my old TrackCar, but like the rails, you can get them cheap off many places. They do have a date on them, so make sure it's not expired, as come race day, they won't allow you to hit that tarmac if so. Here's a goal. Like a glove. Right, that's all in. Now we can get the steering wheel and the boss on. And it should be finished. The boss and steering wheel we also bagged from Demon Twigs. There's plenty of different types and makes you can get, it's all about personal preference really. The boss fits on the original spline of the steering column. We have a couple of wires to clip on for the horn, then the steering wheel can be bolted up to the boss. Well, the only thing left to do now is fire it up. Master switch on. Woo! Oh, sounds just like a standard C1. Never mind. Lovely stuff. I'm over the moon with how it's looking now. and I'd say that is ready for testing. I've got the spare wheels on, we've got the new ones to go on there. I've left the door bars off because I'm going to have to swap the seat for a new one because I just realised mine's out of date, so we're going to get Lee's on there. A good polish up and it looks like a new car altogether. Even on the black wheels, it definitely looks the part. There's still a couple of bits to sort out, but that can wait as we have to head to Teeside and give it a good blast out. As we got there late, we wasted no time in heading out. So Lee jumped in first to get it warmed up and see what this beast could do, or at least make sure it drove okay without the wheels falling off. After a good few laps, we came back in to let the car cool down, then it was my turn to take out the powerhouse. First few faults we had was the bigger wheels were catching the arches, which wasn't a concern as we wouldn't be using those on race day. The other fault we found was the steering wheel needed straightening, but other than that, everything was pretty much sweet. There we have it, we've tested it at Teeside. Me and Lee's had a good few laps round. We've not given it a big blast out, but we've given it, put it under its paces just a little bit to test everything. Really happy with the car, it's performed really good. It's getting the stickers on tomorrow, so I'm just going to give it a quick wash off, and then Silverstone on Saturday. Alright, so it's the next day. Teeside yesterday was an absolute dream with the car. It ran amazing, really couldn't be happy with it. The wheels were catching the arches, and the steering wheel was a little out, but other than that, it ran a dream. When we got back, we did have a few things to sort out, like the bonnet pins, put the door bars in, swap the seats and the wheels, and then a few other little bits, I think. And then it's been over to the guys at Creative Graphics in Bishop Auckland to get our logos and sponsors put on. And yeah, I guess the only thing left to do now is show you our beast of a C1 Cup racing car. I'm absolutely buzzing with how this has turned out. It's been a right mission. To some it's a crappy C1, and they'd be right, it is a C1. But it's my crappy C1, one that I spelled building, learning, making memories with friends, having fun, which is ultimately what we're trying to do here. It's all for a race series which I've never done before, and I've always wanted to do, so yeah, I'm just really, really happy right now, and I just want to, just want to have as much fun with it as possible as we can. Right. Now, for those who are watching, they maybe want to try this themselves, or even are curious just to how much we spent doing the car. Here's a rundown of the figures and the budget. So the car I got for 1,300 quid, and although you can get them a lot cheaper, I just wanted the lowest mileage one I could find at the time. They do go for about 700, 800 quid on eBay if you have a look. Just make sure those sills are really good. The cage kit, the wishbones and other mandatory items I got for £2,812. Spent £440 on 6 tyres and then £430 on 6 alloys, which really you could buy 4, but you do need 2 spare. And then there's the labour cost, which I'd say that's pretty much free because it's fun, right?
It's the best. Love it.
So obviously there is a service kit and other bits which I got from D.WARD Automotive. They've helped us out massively with the build. If you are doing a similar race, then I suggest getting a sponsor and doing exactly like I did. Supply you with a timing chain, clutches, everything that you need, because it really does help with the build. If not though, however, they are really cheap to run, so I would set aside maybe about £300 for maintenance. All in all, £5,282 for a race car, which really ain't that shabby if you ask me. A small cost for a lot of fun, which can be halved if you go halves with the car with someone and then building it together. It works out a lot cheaper. Because to do this cup race, you do need 2 drivers. So I have split a lot of these costs with Lee, which really does help when you come to do it. You think your numbers are quite steep. Ultimately, when the car is done, you can have as much fun with it as you want. You can take it to your local track like we did. We took it to Teeside, which is only £80 for the day. You don't specifically have to enter a championship like we did. You can just take it around the track or out on the road if you get it taxed. Or you could even sell it at the end of it and get all your money back and then just gain the experience of having fun and learning along the way. Anyway, I think I've done enough talking. I think it's time to get this bad boy loaded up and head to Silverstone. Let's go! So we hit the road on Friday afternoon and landed at Silverstone on the night. Unloading the car and then got it straight into the pit over to get the car weighed and checked in. Then we got our heads down for the night as it was an early start in the morning. Welcome to Silverstone, the last race of the C1 Cup Championship for 2024. We walked up late to the party, missing practicing on Friday as teams were already underway making changes and preparing. We had a small team of 4, me, Lee, Corey and Aaron, who's the cameraman for the day. You'll see him giving a hand during the pit stops. A small team to many, but we had a lot of audacity on our side. The first job we had to do was give the car a check over before it headed to scrutineering to get an official safety check. If they found anything wrong with the car, we would only have a few hours to sort it out before the race, so things were very tense at this point. As we headed in, they checked the car over and our race gear. Thankfully, we got that golden ticket to go. One less thing to stress about, it was back to the pits with the advisory of a brake light not working and the seatbelts to readjust in the correct way. And if that's all I picked up on, I'm a happy man. When it's our first time, he's 200 get your dollar trade. We managed to readjust the seatbelts with Liam as we decided he was going out first to qualify for us. Qualifying is a 50-minute session which all drivers have to do. The fastest time gives you the grid position for the actual race. Seatbelts are done, we set about putting the bulbs in, which nearly knocked myself out doing so. Last check over everything and make sure the wheels are tight as it was time to get ready to go and qualify. Sadly, our time didn't matter for us as rookies because the new entries of the series start at the back. But we needed to practice anyway as we haven't even been out on the track yet. So the nerves were still high. As we waited in the queue, ready to head out, we were very thankful of the weather as it couldn't have been a better day. And just like that, Lee headed out to qualify. On the live timing, we could see he was doing really great and getting better with every lap. After 30 minutes, it was time to swap over and let me tear the place up. I'm just kidding, you can see coming up that I nearly lose it in the first corner heading out. And that would have been great for content losing it there, but definitely not my street cred. So I'm thankful I kept it under tarmac and got on with qualifying, or should I say practice, as well, I really didn't know the track. Time went quick and I came into the pits as the qualifying was soon over with. All we needed to do now was check the pressure of the tyres, decide which tyres we were going to use for the race, make sure all the oils were bang on, and then Corey rubbed the car better where someone hit me in qualifying. Poor thing. Then the wait was no longer. It was time to head to the grid where I was going to do the first half of the driving. The nerves really were kicking in now. A long walk to the back where Lee, Corey and Aaron met up with me to check I didn't need new underwear and give me a last bit of advice, which was to not go the wrong way. Cheers lads. This really was it. All the late nights and hard work all come down to this right here. A dream come true for me.
Buckled in, but make sure that's buckled in properly because you just said you have to leave the grid. Just I'd tighten it right up now. Pins out.
Yeah, okay.
Right, good luck.
Creep out.
Control to drivers. This is a radio check. Control to drivers. This is a radio check.
Come on, let's go.
Control all drivers. Green flag. Green flag.
All cars were in place. There was only one thing left to do, and that was race from a rolling start. So here it went. One lap to get some heat in the tyres and the race was on. On the first couple of laps I managed to gain a few spaces out of sheer adrenaline. Everything was going really well by this point. Time to head to the pits to swap drivers as I was starting to make silly mistakes. And this is where our unrehearsed pit stopping came into play, and we heavily relied on our new pals from Emax Motorsport and 3 Spark Racing to give us a hand. As I came in, Lee wasn't ready and I didn't know I had to make more pit stops.
Do your belt. One lap, Jamie. One lap.
Don't touch the car. He's going to do 1 lap, come back in. Driver, when you go out, do your hue tag.
Right, yeah.
Well done, mate. Really.
This is what they call a dummy pit stop. The driver gets out and back in, replicating a driver change. So So it was back out for another lap, and things were really heating up now as the race was well underway. My time was up, it was over to Lee to give it the beans. Maximum credit to the Emax Motorsport guys, as they were running their team as well as helping us Goonies out who really didn't have a clue. They lended us the correct fuel drum, lead weights, overalls and other things we couldn't have raced without, so big shout out to them. Sadly, as Lee headed out, the car had crashed and rolled badly, so he patiently waited as the safety car was out for about 40 minutes. When the safety car came in, it was game on. Lee wasted no time in gaining spaces. He was absolutely flat out doing a belter job. Even having a bit of frisk with other drivers. As the race went on, it was time for the fourth and last pit stop we had to do. I'd like to say we were more prepared this time to refuel the car, but honestly we weren't. As Lee didn't know we were going to refuel, we got a penalty for doing so with the driver still in the car. Never mind, we laughed about it later. All the teams were doing absolutely amazing. It was mental just to be a part of it. Lee went back out and continued smashing that tarmac up. And before we knew it, the checkered flag was out and the 3 hours were up. And that really was it. We made it over the line on an absolute high from it all. A small team of 4 rocked up with 2 spare tyres, borrowed a load of gear, unrehearsed, unaware, and actually put in a competitive time. And just like that, the race is finished. The car is back in one piece. We came 31st out of 50 cars, starting second from last on the grid, which is pretty decent for a new rookie team if you ask me. We did our best and we had fun, which is the main thing that counts. I need to thank everyone involved. Lee for helping me build the car and race, Corey and Aaron for being pit crew, Creative Graphics for doing the stickers, D.WARD Automotive for sponsoring us and giving us all the parts. Everyone involved. There's a 2-minute list, but thank you all to them. It wouldn't have been possible without them. From what the car was to what we did with it, it truly has been a journey I won't forget anytime soon. I couldn't be prouder of what we'd achieved in such very little time. And I'm very thankful I got to do it with the best lads that I know. We had an absolute blast and that's what we are all about. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you soon. No one died.